the BAM advisory mantra. What do you guys stand for?
We like to tell our clients what we're known for is protecting what's priceless. And for each client, that could be either their time, that could be their energy, or their family. We want them to focus on the things they love to do, who they love to do it with, and let our planning and our team absorb the stress and the worry when the world gets sideways.
I started my career with David. I owe a lot to this guy. Give us the history of your background in finance, where you started, all the way up till current day.
You know, I would love to sit here and say that when I graduated high school, I knew I was going to be a financial advisor, and that just wasn't the case. Literally, this is a story we love to tell. At the time, girlfriend woke me up one day and said, "Hey, I'm pregnant." Wow. I said, "Wow, okay.
You want to get Starbucks?
Hopefully it's mine." Just kidding. Can't put that on radio. You guys said you can edit stuff, and literally 3 days later, I get this magic recruiting letter in the mail. It says, "Hey, do you want to become a financial advisor? You can help people out." I'm like, at the time I was bartending. I'm like, I can't raise a family bartending, right? What are they going to do? Come sit at the bar? My kids and stuff? That doesn't work. So started with a really small firm. We would drive to their house, help them out with insurance and some other financial services. And from there, just, moved to Denver in 2005. And now we feel we have by far the best financial planning practice in all of Colorado.
Yeah, you have a great story about this, though, about when you got the letter and you made the decision. Walk us through the decision.
Yeah, well, the decision was I had nothing else, no other opportunity. So I was either going to make this, or I'm sure something else probably would have fell on our plate. So I went into the interview and came in a mustard yellow, the only suit that I had. I got it for $100.
Why did you have a mustard yellow suit?
Well, because the ones that were on sale were mustard yellow, and that's all I could afford. So walked in with a mustard yellow suit, and most of the guys they're hiring were in their early 20s. I was at that time 28. So this was the shot. Like I had to make this work, and there was nothing that was going to stand in my way to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was in Bay Area, right?
Yeah, this is a Fremont.
And when you started, it was, obviously we're going to get to where you guys are now, very advanced planning systems, very intricate how you put plans together for clients. When you started, though, I think that's a fun story, how we all started.
Oh yeah. We used to make a lot of phone calls. We used to
boiler room, eh?
Yeah, a little boiler roomish, because I remember our first sales meeting, and he was like, put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers, type of meeting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Glenn Gary. They showed us Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross.
That was the meeting. The first meeting. Watch this film.
Yep, and then it was go to people's homes and literally don't leave until you help them, get, as insurance to protect their home. And we'd sit in people's homes, and I'd have dogs lick my clothes and kids cry at me.
Oh my gosh, I used to hate that. So first and foremost, if you're watching and listening to this, you should have life insurance to cover your home in the event of a death.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't, you need to reach out. It's crucial that you get that. It really is. I started with David. Yeah, there's so many living rooms I used to sit in. Ugh. It was before MapQuest. It was before cell phones. It was before
all of it.
Yeah, and we would go to some really interesting homes. I used to tell people to lock up their dogs. I used to have to tell people to turn off their TVs.
We've had to tell people to put on a shirt.
So you started in California and had a really successful career there. I know you were running an office, and then you branched out and moved to Denver. Obviously, a brave move to leave your city and your home in the Bay. You get to Denver, you open a successful office. Walk us through getting to Denver. And
yeah, it's really random, because we actually tried to stay in the Bay Area. We looked, going up north by San Francisco. I really wanted to go to San Diego, but the organization at that time was really closed-minded. If you understand the business model of Starbucks, purposely they would open a shop right across the street from the other one, and both the statistics would show both sales would go up, but they didn't see it that way. So we just looked at different cities. We visited Portland. Portland was a little dreary. I guess people just they're not happy out there.
Yeah, sun's important.
Yeah, we went to Arizona, way too hot. We'd go in the most extreme times. So we went to Portland, it just rained for a week. I'm like, I can't live here. Went to Arizona in the summer. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I go grocery shopping, all my food's gonna melt by the time I go home. And then Christy actually has family in Rifle and Estes Park. So we said, let's go to
For first time listeners, Christy is David's wife and partner.
Business partner too. So we went to Denver, and it was, a typical Denver day. First of all, we're flying in the airport. I'm like, where are we going? Because the airport is like
in Kansas.
And then we're driving, and we're yelling at each other.
Weird.
And we have our newest born with us. That was Ty. We left Jordan back in California, but we had to take Ty because Ty was just born. And we're just like, yelling at each other because like I'm lost. I can't see the city, and we're driving, like couldn't find rental cars in Denver, like another whole thing. They got to change that still. But anyways, it snowed, sun came out, 60 degrees, and I'm like, all right, this is January. This isn't too bad. And I'm like, it's beautiful.
Were you guys scared to move?
I wasn't. And it's probably a good trait to have when I become, focused. And, if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching this, if you're on your own business, sometimes you're just not, intelligent enough to really think about that it can't work. And I just was like, we're going to make this work. Cause I told Chrissy, like,
wait, to rephrase that, you're saying sometimes there's beauty in dumb ignorance, like just plowing forward.
Just plowing forward, just like hammer, nail, just hit the nail as many times as possible. I never
you'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, for sure. No, I believe so. I think if you have the right focus, you have the right drive, and you're willing to do, a great quote that I love is, two great quotes: closed mouth never gets fed, and the road to the extra mile is never crowded. So, and especially today, like if you want to get ahead in life, you want to talk about a time period to do it. If you're a savage, today is a time to be a savage. The world is soft. People are soft. You can get, by outworking everyone, that's still something that most people should do when you're trying to build a career, is outwork everyone, right? So we came, we looked at it, we liked it. Then we came back again, and we found a house that Christy just fell in love with. And literally she called her mom crying and said, we're about to put $25,000 down payment on this house, and we're going to move to Denver. And I looked at her and I said, oh my God, we're doing this. And that's when the juices started going. So like, 6 months or 7 months after that, we packed up our stuff and we drove to Colorado, and we never came back.
I think adding to that, I was curious about you moving here because I just think, environment is everything. I think oftentimes you got to switch it up. It can be really scary to move away from your loved ones and that kind of thing. But I also think it inspires people, inspired me.
Not only that, but like, you can't really manufacture the feeling you get when you're going through change in life. And I think you have to get uncomfortable to the point where you're like, what am I doing, to get to the next stage? Like every time I look back and all the times that I got uncomfortable, 6 months, a year, 2 years later, my life has completely changed, whether that's personal, mental, financial, business. Even this right now, I'm uncomfortable with it. But I know that as I get comfortable, major growth, all growth happens when you're uncomfortable.
Love that. It's true. What would you recommend before we move on to the rest of the journey? If someone's feeling stuck right now, how do they get uncomfortable?
You have to give up something to get something. So I gave up relationships. I gave up all of my comfort, my routine, the road to the gym, the office, seeing my family. I gave up basically everything that we were comfortable with. Got extremely uncomfortable for a couple of years. Oh, and by the way, 2 years after we moved to Colorado, the Great Recession happened, which completely changed our business model at the time. Almost went bankrupt because we just bought a new house. We bought a house in 2007. So we paid top dollar, we bought the house in 2005. So we paid top dollar for it because October 2007, we had the great mortgage crisis. So like we went through in 3 years, you want to talk about being uncomfortable? I mean, that was a decade's worth of uncomfortability.
I didn't realize it was that close to when you moved here. It's only been a couple years.
Well, we moved in 2005.
So when I started, the office was only 6 months old, roughly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would say for people in retirement too, or not in retirement as well. I just talked about this the other day on a podcast. If you want to feel unstuck too, you can learn a new skill. You should always be learning.
Yes.
Don't get complacent. Money, relationships might be tough. Learn a new skill. Go take karate. Go to jujitsu.
Go if grab a golf club.
Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast. I think people get comfortable and they freeze often. And I think if you just keep learning, keep trying, keep getting better, keep reading, keep going to karate, go take that paint class, go join a gym, go to CrossFit, make new friends, which I know is weird in your 30s and 40s. Like, that's a tough thing. Like, am I being creepy by asking this 30-year-old to hang out with me? Like, how do you make friends in your 30s? That could be a whole nother show we do, but yeah, get out of your comfort zone. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's human nature to get comfortable, right? It's human nature to just go home, do what's easy, not be bothered, microwave a pizza. That's the easy life. But being uncomfortable just really allows you to experience emotions, fight or flight, right? I mean, I think everyone has to go through it, and it just shows you who you really are, and it's pretty incredible. Once you break through it, I think you just develop this thick skin that can just carry you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, amen to that. So you guys get here, financial crisis, 2008 happens, and then I know you changed firms. Walk us through that portion of the story.
Yeah, and again, at this point, I'm still in my late 30s. I have so much more perspective now as I'm 52, but during that time period, Christy was really, really nervous, right? Because we basically took all of our nest egg and invested in the business. And we actually built the business to the point where I wasn't directly involved with meeting clients anymore. So I kind of was out of the field. So I just remember the time Christy walked up to me. She's like, "You need to get on the phone and get back to what got you here because with mortgages now, and our house is worth less than we bought it for. The office is pretty much down to 2 or 3 people. We're still paying a lease that we took on in 2000. So we expanded 6 months before the great mortgage crisis. So I'm like, all right, this is back on my shoulders. So I had to get uncomfortable again because I got comfortable to the point where I was just managing the office. So I had to get uncomfortable, get back out in the field. So then we decided, okay, we've got to do more than just, insurance or mortgage protection. Let's go do real comprehensive financial planning. Let's take the business. So during like the worst modern day financial crisis, I was like, we just got to get to a point where we can do real comprehensive planning because our revenue model was based upon one way of doing things. So at that point I said, where we're at now, we need to go actually partner with a big firm that has the resources that can help us, build, new structure for the organization. So that's when we worked with a larger, well-known firm. And they really helped us because they provided us the education, the tools, things that we couldn't come up with being independent. Spent about 4 or 5 years there, but I realized...
And to add to that firm David was with, again, if you're a new-time listener, why you should contact the office and work with David is that firm he worked with is one of the top 5 in the world, probably $1 trillion under management, one of the most reputable, big name, prestigious companies in the world. So yeah, to learn from those guys is, that's a masterclass in finance, right?
It was a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one of the representatives that we worked with at the time, it was his idea, and he introduced me to the managing director. And then I was like, this is a perfect fit for right now.
Yeah.
And that's what, I think you have to do that.
Is that Neely?
Yeah, Mark Neely. We're still friends.
Yeah, I love Mark Neely.
He has a huge RA. He went independent.
I thought didn't he retire?
No. He went and built out his own RA. They have $1 billion. Within 3 years, they have almost $750 million under management. Okay,
so 2008, you go through a tough time. What did that moment teach you? Like, what did you get out of that, of going through that really tough time? And how did it shape who you are today?
Most people want to avoid the fire. I walked right through the fire.
I will say that is another thing I've always admired about David. He, and again, why you should reach out to the office is David is one of the hardest working, hard charging, no frills, do whatever it takes to execute. One of the hardest working people I've ever met. One of the most detailed people I've ever met. And yeah, you're a hard charger. It's impressive. I miss you, man. That's what I'm really trying to say.
I'm going to cry.
So the journey in 2008, how did that impact you? What did you learn? And how did it sort of shape who you are today?
Well, I just learned that when you get complacent. So in 2007, we had a record year, thanks to you and the team. And I thought, Can we just dote on that? We broke every record. Every record. If office had just opened within 2 years, and at that time there was like 7 offices, most of them were in California. We had a record year. So fat and happy, just developed bad habits, complacency, stopped working on my swing. If we want to use golf swing, like you can say that, hey, we just won all the major championships. And I stopped working on my swing. I thought I made it. 33, 34 years old, I made it. And then economy tanks, The culture wasn't great. A lot of just things broke. And it just, was very humbling.
David, can we talk about that real quick? I just want you to touch on that, because one thing you told me once in a meeting is there's a lot of things you taught me that I still use and resonate with me today. One of the things you always used to teach us is when you are comfortable, work even harder. Can you talk about your advice to people on, like, when you think you've made it or when you feel comfortable?
That's when I think I've learned it, and you still learn it, because again, complacency is human nature. But like the minute you think you've made it or reached it, or you need to like have a little button that you press and electrocute yourself, because that's exactly when you need to, make sure your swing is tight, make sure like everything that you're doing, is the best possible. And I've just learned that lesson time and time and time again, that when you think you've made it, that's when a couple of days later, everything breaks.
Right. No, I mean, it's a great life lesson. Like when you think it happens to everybody, comfort is one of the greatest sins. Comfort is one of the greatest destroyers of people. Right. I think it is.
So the greatest shooter of all time, and I'm going to argue that he's the greatest point guard of all time, Steph Curry, which is one of my sports idols. Why does that guy shoot 1,000 shots every single day? Don't we think that by this point in time of his life, Steph could probably not spend the time at 36 years old after winning 4 championships, 2 MVPs? If you don't have a TV, then you missed the greatest show of the Olympics.
Unbelievable.
Why is he still shooting 1,000 shots every single day in his life?
If he's
not complacent,
because he has a mental disorder. But 2, if he were like a normal person, though, he'd have another guy shooting the shots for him in the gym. That's what people do in business, right? He'd have someone else doing the work for him, which is where people get uncomfortable. Yeah, because he's a winner. It's hard though. It's like hard to stay motivated sometimes, right? I think that's a whole nother like show, but
that's why discipline is discipline, greater sign, motivation. He's disciplined, like he knows.
But he also because this could segue into like discipline. I agree, and then it's also we live in this like burnout culture now. You know what I mean? Like there's an art form to working really hard and being disciplined, and also I think another thing you do really well is have balance. You've always been good at that. You've always been so good with your time that you have the time to take care of yourself too.
I'm excited really to talk about like our company now, and just how proud I am of what we built. Is just focus on your team. Don't focus on clients, because when you can build a culture where people believe in each other, respect each other, they understand the mission, they're bought in, they're willing to do whatever it takes, then your clients will be attracted to that. So we focused on clients first. Team members were expendable. And when I mean expendable, like there isn't a client that I would keep over one of our team members. At the time we built our company, the culture was all sales-based, client-based. So I was a product of my environment. I just changed the environment. And as I changed the environment, we attracted the right people. I learned this quote from Chris: you attract who you are, not what you want. That's a Chris Miller quote. You attract who you are, not what you want. So when we started becoming more intentional with the company that we wanted to build the right way, we started attracting the right business partners, the right mentors, and then voila! Now I look at our business now; it's night and day different than it was 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean the culture now is amazing. It's so much different than it used to be.
It's fun, actually. I mean. But what people don't realize, and you, Chris, can tell. I mean, we have Amelia in the studio. It's not like we had fun with each other. We'd always, even back then, we would always take these guys out. We'd go to comedy shows.
Yeah.
We would have everyone over for UFC fights.
Yes.
We would have, we'd go do dinners. We'd do barbecues together.
We back then it was like we were an elite sports team. I mean, I think what David...
We played flag football with each other. I pulled 2 hamstrings. I mean, you remember?
I do remember that.
People throwing up.
Yeah.
J-Raj.
People fighting. What we had back then was an elite team, like a Navy SEAL elite tactical team. I would have put the sales team David and I, mostly David, built back then up against any sales team in the country, and we would have wiped the floor with them. Like it wouldn't even have been close. and to the point where as I went through other sales organizations and we built our own organizations, I would meet with other companies and be like, your sales team is soft. Like this is, and it's from work ethic to how you treat clients, et cetera. But I miss that because it was like being in a locker room with a bunch of all-stars. Everyone in that office was.
No, like skill wise, man, you just look at the talent that we had. But the problem was, and this was on me as the leader, I didn't get everyone to pull for the team mission of the company. Everyone was pulling for themselves.
We would have eaten each other to like, we would steal leads. We were
not good.
We were so intense with each other that I remember even phone calling. We'd be holding the phone, screaming at someone else, like shut the fuck up. Yeah. It was fun though. I miss it.
A lot of fun.
Okay, so now bring us up to current day. So 2008, you leave the big firm, and now walk us through BAM Advisory Group.
Yeah, for sure. So 2008, we left the independent firm, went and worked with one of the largest financial firms in the world. Stayed with them about till 2011, 2012, and I just realized that if I really want to be a fiduciary, if I really want to put my client's best interest first and build a world-class organization, I need to go back and do it independently, but do it right this time, because most of the big firms, whether it's the Edward Jones, the Northwestern Mutuals, the big insurance companies, the Fidelities, they all want to offer you something that they make. So they have it's a high revenue model. I think the only way you could be, and you heard the word fiduciary, I think is a buzzword, right? I think it's I forget the word that I'm looking for to use. Like it's a
silly adjective to make you feel like it's special.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
it's fluff.
Yeah. So we decided we're going to go back and be independent again. This time we're going to build an RIA, do wealth management. So we just started interviewing some of the top independent marketing organizations in the world. And we really wanted to find the right one. And it took us a couple swings at it to get the right one. And now we're worth one, I think is, probably the best in the industry. They've really helped us with business development. There's 5 components to a business. There's your vision, there's culture, sales, marketing, sales, and operations. And they helped us build our vision, and they've really helped us develop our culture, because when times are tough, and times are always going to be tough, I don't care what type of business you run, it's your team and how they pull together and lean on each other that'll get you through the most difficult times. And I think our culture is world-class, and our client, we get cards and emails from our clients all the time saying, man, every time I come into that office, you guys are so aware of who we are as people. We do, special gifting. We know our clients' kids, we know their grandkids' names when they walk in. And it's just a really special place. We love it.
It's tight knit. I want to go back to the bigger firms too, and how they sort of lure people in with fancy jargon. And David's right. They do have an agenda. You have to be really careful there. How do you build culture? Someone listening to this who's an entrepreneur, how do you build culture? Because I think culture is one of the secrets. In sports, I heard Jim Harbaugh say, once we develop the culture, it's easy to move people in and out because you attract who you are, not what you want, right? So, but I think it's tough for people to set culture. So how did you set culture at BAM, and how do you build culture if you're an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so you just, and I've had these conversations with a lot of other business owners, we argue back and forth. He's like, hey, David, without sales, you don't have revenue. True. And we built a great company. Back when we moved out here, we had sales, but not a good culture. So the minute things got rough, i.e. the Great Depression, everyone scattered for themselves. Culture is building a team where everyone, first of all, understands the mission of the company. So it's upon the leadership of the company to paint a clear vision that the team can buy into. And then you need to really, really, really understand everyone on your team. You got to know them really well. You got to know we use this tool called the Enneagram. I don't want to say it's a personality assessment. It just really allows us to understand how people communicate, how they make decisions. Do they need to be hugged? Do they need to be pushed? And when you build a team when you're building a company that's based upon the team over the clients, I think that's the most special thing. Most sales companies, it's all client driven. Like the client's the most important. The client's the most important. And like I was talking to Maddie, like we don't have a client. I wouldn't keep one client over a team member. In fact, last year,
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
we wouldn't keep one client over a team member. So I was actually put to the test.
I love that.
I was actually put to the test last year. So one of Jack Walker, who works with me, is one of our advisors. He works with me intimately. He got really upset because this one client that we've had for a long time just grilled him, and he actually came into my office in tears. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to be put to the test. So I had this conversation with the client. I said, there's no reason not to disrespect any of our team members. And I think it might be just time for us to part ways. And this client at the time was our fourth highest net worth client. You know, we're talking $6 or $7 million, which most firms would die to get a client like that. And it wasn't the easiest thing, but we parted ways amicably. And that right there showed Jack and the rest of the team, like, okay, David's just not talking a bunch of jargon. He actually means what he says. And then on top of that, you want to make sure that you're providing an environment where people can be collaborative. So when they speak up, they're heard. You know, we say no. The only bad idea is no idea. So you got to get the team really comfortable with that. And yeah, you put the team first. If you put the team first, grow the culture, you'll attract the right clients. Yeah. So the planning isn't, so I think first of all, most people that are approaching retirement don't have a plan. They have a portfolio. We say, if you just have a bunch of 401ks and investments, you don't have a plan. And we actually tell people, okay, well, bring in your plan. Let us review it. And guess what? People don't bring in their plan because they don't have one.
By the way, if you're listening to this and you want to review your current status, you should reach out. All those links are below. You might even get like a budget analysis too out of that meeting.
Yeah, budget analysis. You'll get a tax analysis, Social Security maximization, risk score, everything. You know, we'll build out an income plan because of my experience and because of how much money I've seen people lose in retirement in 08, 09. We really wanted to build the planning to the point where no matter what happens in the world, you stay retired, you stay traveling, you stay whatever it is, giving money to your kids and grandkids, you're golfing every day. We would just want to make sure what I witnessed in 2000 and 2008 doesn't happen to folks. So we've built, our process is getting to know each client individually, truly custom building a plan that suits their needs. And then it's flexible, right? Like if your needs are going to change, you want to spend more money, you want to spend less money, you want to give money away, you're charitably inclined. We're really focused on tax planning way as a high level financial advisor that you can meet with a client one time and already make a recommendation. That's like you're walking into the doctor's office and the doctor
without an x-ray.
Well, not even an x-ray. The doctor peeks out to you and just throws you some pills and say, take these.
Yeah,
you have to take your urine. We have to take your blood. We have to have you stand on a scale. We have to check your mobility. I mean, we take 3, sometimes 4 meetings before we make any recommendations. Because the first thing we want to understand is if you have a current advisor, are they doing a good job? And if they're doing a good job, we're going to tell you they're doing a good job. But most advisors, only thing they focus on is one piece of the pie. That's the investment piece. I mean, there's 5 critical areas to a financial plan. That's your income, making sure you have defined predictable income for your life and your spouse, right? This is because most people don't realize how much money they're going to lose to taxes, either while you're alive, taking your distributions, or what you pass to your spouse, which you pass to your kids. Right now, what we're going through in our firm is, for our clients that, I've worked with in their 60s or now their 80s, they're going through some type of long-term care health event. And the amount of money that they have to spend to either go to a facility or have someone take care of their house is incredible. If your advisor's not talking to you about that, that could devastate your portfolio. And then for my high net worth clients, it's all about taxes, meaning like, okay, I'm going to leave this wealth. I want to do it in the most tax efficient way possible. So we focus on those all 5 key areas.
Which, by the way, that'll be in other episodes, which we will link at the bottom. You should tune into those episodes too to get the input on those 5 things. So yeah, that's current day, and it's an incredible story. Anything else you want to share about the team or anything else before we end this episode?
We just right now we have an amazing team. Everyone's bought in. They understand the mission. They know that, we're building a company. So our goal is, we want to play the infinite game at BAM Advisory Group, right? I think most companies play a finite game. They're attached to a number or a certain outcome and they rinse, wash, repeat it every year. We want to build a company that lasts generations and it can impact the community for decades to come.
Thanks for watching. Don't stop here. Keep investing in yourself. Watch another video. In fact, leave us comments. We're all about maximizing the one thing that money can't buy, which is your time.